Abusia Ghana Mampani Dada, His Excellency Nanando Akufo-Addo, and one Ghana Mampani, the current one, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Omoshi Omoton Sayem, na Ira Julius Debra Fee, I walk as a Siabai or Boba, and not just say Omoshi, na Kwahu Easter, names a Ghana Mampani, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, any Ghana Mampani, Nanado Akufo-Addo, our Mampani Dada. Mampani Dada no share Kwahu experience our being our Easter if you want to be one man named Paho da and unti Afibiano Waha Afi was sign Abishia Bim no baya. Won't mean to now say what is it or Mampani the current one Ewaha Woma MP Ketesiko and Intino when I'm so Abipi Moho Nico and Penny for Juma Omo Juma Cassian your Modiana Ashiamua. Omo Chinko na omo baya na Kwahu Business Forum Ira Julius Debra and Sasha say we need the third edition at warrior na ene day ene ne toso mienu aye day 2 no ena warrior enu nti banifo ahodo abehia mu ha enu ne nam so ama Ghana Mampani His Excellency John Dramani Mahama abepie mu ha na afi assemti auditor so the future of business scaling up local enterprises na usua ebra Ghana Mampani His Excellency John Dramani Mahama bepie mu na no disem kire mu se ni ntia na nsen ubewura ba bia na say industrial hub obi a ye twa ekwan ye yi kwan ye tu kwan ni nyina na ye se eni da ho na nokre se u engage contractors a ya na sika no ekwa ko mechanic nsem ma wo mo ye kwan wo mo a laborafo nyina mpo mpo side checks mpo no sika ni bi so mo so a wo kan ye impasse mo manfo esre abusia. Hi Ghana News TV so medin na nasefa bob mesro sending dey kan ba hwemi anu subscribe no ahye ma menti santia eba no Ghana Mampani His Excellency John Dramani Mahama abusia mesro se wa ma no ni na so send this ka ba fia Easter yi ema abusiafo eni kombo modian download lem fine bo news shim na send this ka free US Canada America US Europe bia say Germany UK na o send the first $50 or first £50 or first €50 One will be just as kind of be as I add your chow quantity for when so now the more you send, the more you enjoy. Ebusian Koni and here, in Tinia Corso, Ewa.
Very good morning to you.
Mr. President. Are you guys ready? Yes, please. Because we are ready.
For day 3 of the Kwahu Business Forum. Very soon joined by the President of America, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Please move, please.
Dramani Mahama, and all other guests. Ahuhuahua ese enede wababe kaye hon ewo Kwahu people so. Eda jumedia mpeni nyina fa adwuma kɛseɛ sei a mode aba sɛ business forum. Yeah, innovators, the promoters of business. Yama nyinaa kwaba. They stress dwumadie a yɛba bɛdi abapa bi bɛfiri mu aba na innovations ɛnkɔyɛ kasa a yɛka na so ɛkɔ ɛnɛ the third edition. Future editions na yɛbɛhu sɛ ɛbɛyɛ fruitful and beneficiary to the people of Kwahu and Ghana as a whole. Yɛma mu nyinaa akwaba yɛdamase ɛsɛ dwumadie yi di Awurade nhyira so na yɛnya nipa bi ɛba ne mpagya Ghana kurodua yi yɛdamase nyɛma akwaba.
We get the mandate from the people of Ghana to govern this country. And we're talking about tourism and how we can improve things. And then the issue of Kwahu Easter came up. And we talked about the whole Kwahu Easter program and how we can add And it came from the fact that the Kwahu people are business people and traders. And so often they are spread all over the country, from Sunyani to Tamale to Bolgatanga, Accra, Ho, everywhere, doing their business. And so Easter was a time when they had a clear break where they could close their shops and their businesses and come back and greet family at home. But also they have this tendency to accumulate funerals. And so they could also come and pay respects to their dead and all that. In 2006, during President Akufo's time, and I remember the late Ferdinand Ayim, he gave a tourist boost to the whole Easter homecoming. And so they added the paragliding and so many other events to the Kwahu Easter. And so when we're thinking, myself and Julius, we said, look, it should not just be entertainment and enjoyment and all that. Considering the nature of the Kwahu people and their business acumen, let's also use it as an opportunity to create a forum where the business people can come and network and interact and see how to manage their businesses even better. And so the first one we did was in 2024. We were still in opposition. We had the audacity to hold a Kwahu Business Forum. And there are a few people, businessmen, I want to thank. K.O. Fori, NS Chemist, I think, Metalex, Font Tissue. Some of them I know by their businesses, not their names. The Rockstars and a few others. Sickens, East Cantonments, and all of them. It was a makeshift tent. And I remember they came and sat here. And in those days, it was dangerous to be identified with the opposition, you know, so it took a bit of courage for them to come to that event. But it was a very simple, successful event. And I think at that event, I made a promise that if we win power, we're going to make this a permanent annual event, and that we're going to make it one of the biggest business forums that takes place annually in this country. And I promised that I was going to drag my ministers, the bank managers, the leaders of SOEs and everybody, if I become president, to come and attend the forum. And so last year, we brought almost everybody. All the banks were here, fintechs, you know, small and medium enterprises and everybody. And they saw how useful it was. The networking and all that was very useful. And so this year, they are here again in their numbers. And we said that we will have all of them reporting what they've been able to do after they left the forum of last year. And so I'm happy that our MD for Ghana Exim has been able to give us a report about 3 businesses that they are supporting. And I wish that they will support some more. I know they have constraints of funding, but we'll soon come out of the IMF program. They've been trying to raise some credit so that they can expand financing of Ghanaian businesses. But when we come out of the IMF program, that constraint would have been removed. And I know one of the companies especially that has gotten assistance, Nobi Farms. I was there about 2 weeks ago, and it's impressive what Nobi Farms has done. 7,000 hectares of rice under irrigation, all year round harvesting of rice. And this financing is to allow them to install a mill to be able to mill their own rice and bag it and make it ready for the market. So this is a very critical and exhibitions here. And so they are thinking of a permanent convention center, space for performances, meetings, exhibitions, and then we're also going to improve the whole road network in the Kwahu area so that the congestion that is normally created will reduce. And ultimately, we want to have an airstrip here so that flights can come in, both domestically and people coming from outside who want to come and attend conferences. And so the business forum is going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm sure that any subsequent government that comes will continue to be a patron of the Kwahu Business Forum. But let me report to you, since we came back into government, I was here last year. Can somebody read what is on that placard there? I can't see what he has written. Somebody is raising up a placard. I think he wants to draw my attention to something. But I'm saying, since we came here last year, I gave some Ghana is a land of free speech, and so I'm sure he has some beef with somebody. And so whoever he has a beef with, I beg you, go and engage him. And so, since the last forum, I'm happy to report to you that the business environment is much, much, much better than it was before. Business confidence has come back. Foreign direct investment is increasing, and even domestic investment is increasing. In addition, government's appetite for debt has gone down. And so we're borrowing less from the treasury market, we're borrowing less from the banks, and so the crowding out effect that used to occur, where the private sector had no access to credit, the banks now are holding huge liquidities, and they must find somebody to lend it to because government won't take it. Treasury bill rates are low, so if you put your money in treasury bills, you won't get much. And so you must look to the private sector to give financing. And I'm happy that the Ghana reference rate has come down. And so interest rates have come down. Interest rates in 2024 were about 32%. Today, I heard of somebody who borrowed at 10%, 9%. And so I think that it creates a much better environment than we had before. In addition, inflation is down, and so it allows us to have more predictable pricing. Our constant focus had been on macroeconomic stability, to stabilize the macroeconomic environment, and we have done so. And also to create a more resilient economy. As we said, shocks will come. You cannot predict external events, but you must create an economy that is able to withstand those shocks. I know Iran and Israel and all have been fighting. So far, our economy has shown some resilience. We have almost 6 months of export cover. We have about 6 weeks We have about 6 weeks of petroleum stock in our tanks, and so there's no danger of us running out of petroleum within the next 6 weeks. Even as we're using the reserve stocks, we also are replenishing it, and so there's no danger that we would have queues at filling stations and other. In addition, and indeed the most important event that has taken place since last year is the performance of the Ghanaian currency. The currency has stabilized, and it has made the investment environment more predictable for business people. And so even levies and duties at the port are lower. And that's why I tell importers, I don't see any reason why you should try and underdeclare your imports, because the bank rates determine the port levies at the port, and the levies are fixed in dollars. And in 2024, you were bringing your goods in, and you were paying the equivalent CD of $16 or $15, whatever it is. Today, you are paying the equivalent of $10.9 CD to the dollar. So it means that automatically your duties and levies have come down in CD terms. So there should be no incentive for anybody to still want to cheat government. But we know that they say in every house there's a Mensa. People would, if they have the opportunity, do it. And so it leads me to one of the things Jerry said about AI. Digitalization and artificial intelligence is being employed. It's something whose time has come. The system Ghana is using today is so far being used by 21 other countries. And so it is something whose time has come, and the Ministry of Finance has started implementing it. I've heard a few complaints about unfair, imposition in terms of what duties and levies have to be paid. And so the ministry has an appeal system. So far, it is held 2 days in a week. I have advised that they increase the number of days. And so if you get your invoice and it's a legitimate invoice, and of course, sometimes AI and any digitalization can get things wrong. And so if you have your legitimate invoice and you think that the duties and levies that have been imposed are higher than you actually should pay, I'm sure if they are lower, you even decide to appeal, you'll be happy and go away. But if they are higher, then you normally take it to the appeal. They go through the process and they vet your invoice. And if it is justified that, yes, you have been overcharged, the appropriate duties and levies are reduced. And so we'll increase the number of appeal days. So far, it's the minister who has been chairing the appeal process. I think that the deputy minister and others can chair additional appeal process, maybe even 5 times a week, so that anybody who has any issue can go up there and challenge it. But when you get a stronger currency, you also must look at the other side, the exporters. Because the importers are happy when the currency appreciates, but the exporters are also not happy because the same dollar that they bring, they get less CDs for their dollar. And that's why I've always said that we're not looking for a strong currency. We're not looking for a strong CD. We're looking for a stable CD. A stable CD that is predictable, and we know that it will not decline or depreciate more than 5% of its value in a whole year. That's the kind of currency we're looking for. And so we'll continue to work to make sure that our CD, our currency, is stable so that it can create a predictable environment for our private sector. We've lowered taxes. We took out the e-levy, we took out the COVID levy. Indeed, our VAT rate was the highest in Africa. Today, with the reductions and the removal of some of the VAT taxes that were imposed, our effective VAT rate has come to 20%. Now we're going to do some reforms in the VAT area. And already we've said that businesses that are below a threshold of 700,000 are excluded from the VAT taxation. We're also going to improve the efficiency of collection of the VAT. And let me say that if we improve efficiency of tax collection, the incidence of tax on individual companies will go down. If we're collecting VAT more efficiently, we can decide to reduce the effective VAT rate so that it makes things cheaper, it makes our industrialists able to invest more. And so I'm happy Alex talked about good corporate citizenship. And I'm looking forward to when he goes and presents his 150 million CD check to GRA. And I encourage all you, the big businesses, don't hide and go and present your checks. Go and stand there with GRA and let them receive the check. Let's see that you're paying your taxes and you're good corporate citizens. Alex talked about succession planning. And I believe that that's something that we need to do. Because even in local businesses, that is the informal sector. Growing up as a teenager in Tamale, there was a popular Tozafi joint. And I think she was called Ayi or Ma'amina or something. And if you were growing up in Tamale and you didn't eat that TZ, then you really were not a Tamale resident. And I went back to Tamale at a point and I wanted to eat TZ. And I asked, is this business still running? And they said, oh yes, Amma Ayi, Amma Amina, I don't remember the name. Oh, she died, but her daughter has taken it over. That is effective succession. Like Alex was saying, the major problem with most Ghanaian businesses, the founder, once the founder is gone, then there's no proper succession planning. Relatives start quarreling over the business, and before you see, the business goes under. So we don't have sustained businesses. Businesses rise and they collapse. Businesses rise, new ones come and they collapse. And so let's, even as we're growing our businesses, we're talking about scaling up. I mean, if you're scaling up, you must have proper succession planning. Because if you grow from a small enterprise into a big enterprise, we don't want the founder one day when he's not there to have that business collapse. So there should be succession planning. It can be a family business. And so you must identify one of your children, if you want to make it a family business, to come into the business early and understudy you. And I'm going to say for one company that is doing well, and that is Kasapreku. The owner of Kasapreku is my friend, and he told me, I've done enough, I'm retiring to my village. He's gone to his village, he's planted cocoa farms, he's looking after chickens. He's asked me to come and take a look at what he's doing in the village. And his son is running the company, and the company is even growing bigger than when their father ran it. So succession planning is something we must look at. And then Alex also talked about permanent startups. Companies that never grow. Every day they are startups. Every day they are startups. The thing is, we must also introduce mergers and takeovers. And so for the big businesses, you must be looking at the startups. And if you think that you can take it and invest in it and grow it to the next level, you can do that. Because sometimes the managerial competence of the one who has started the business is not enough to take it to the next level. That is why he remains a constant startup. And so if there are businesses that are startups, they have constraints of credit, but you can raise credit because the banks know you and they'll give you money. You can take that business over. You can let the startup owners have some small equity in it, and then you take the business and take it to the next level. We have mergers. You can merge companies. That is how it's done outside. They're actually people who are experts in startups. And so they take a business, they grow it, it has a lot of potential, and then he looks for a big company and he sells it off, and the company takes it over. He takes the money, goes and invests and starts another business. Until we are prepared to be able to take some of these bold decisions, we'll continue to have problems. And so we shouldn't be afraid to take over companies and also to invest in smaller companies and take them to the next level. With regards to the 24-hour economy initiative, credit to Parliament, they've passed the 24-hour authority bill. And so we're in the process of setting up the offices and employing the officers into the authority. They will begin the registration of companies under the 24-hour initiative. And I believe that there are many companies that already are working multiple shifts. Centuo and all of them are already working multiple shifts. So many of them would be among the first to register their companies as 24-hour initiative companies. And there are several incentives you will get. I announced one of them. If you decide to expand your factory and you're bringing plant and equipment, you bring it in duty-free. And so those are some of the incentives for existing businesses that already are running 3 shifts who register on the 24-hour economy. Aside from that, you will have fast-track clearing of all your imports at the port. If you're a 24-hour economy registered business, you would remove your containers within 24 hours of their arriving at the port. So there are several incentives that will be got, but they'll be spelled out, and Parliament will go back to Parliament to approve the incentives, because it's only Parliament that can give some of these waivers and exemptions. And so when we do that, we'll all be clear about what the incentives and under it are. I can't not talk about political victimization. That has been one of the banes of our private sector. Many companies start, and because Ghana is a democratic country, potentially every 8 years there's a change over in government. And often if a business is seen to be associated with one party or the other, then victimization begins. And so, like Jerry said, it is something that we should not encourage. I don't have political colors when I look at the Ghanaian private sector. And so, many times, when we started this Big Push program, and the Big Push program is transformative because it's injecting investment into the road sector especially. This is the biggest investment in the road sector in the history of Ghana. We're doing more than 2,000 kilometers of roads at the same time. And the thing about the construction sector is that it stimulates the economy. And so sometimes when economies are sluggish, governments intentionally invest in construction because the construction companies buy cement. And so the KO4Es and others of this world will have cement to sell. The cement factories will have cement to sell. They buy iron rods, so the iron rod distributors will be able to sell. They have to buy fuel for their trucks, so the petrol fuel station people benefit. They service their machines, and so the car dealers and the earth-moving companies who sell those equipment benefit because they service the machines. Our mechanics get jobs to do. They employ young engineers, civil engineers and other engineers, and several of the sites I've gone to inspecting the Big Push programs. I've been very pleased to see young engineers who have come out of our various institutions, who are the site engineers at the site where the big push is taking place. And many of them, young women engineers. You go and she's in a helmet and they say, this is a site engineer. I feel very proud when I see that. Carpenters, steel benders, everybody gets work when the construction industry is working. Food vendors who go to the site and sell a little wache and banku and kenke also make something to go home with. Car dealers, when the contractors get paid, they go and buy a Land Cruiser for themselves. Car dealers also benefit. And even the spouses, the wives, and the side chicks also benefit. Because when they are paid and they get something, they give their wives and side chicks, some of the money. And that's an important avenue, because you know where that one too goes. When the spouses and the side chicks too get, hairdressers get, dressmakers get, jewelry shops get, handbag sellers get. So don't discount that one at all. So let me get back to the point. So when we were doing all this big push program, somebody came and said, look, they're distributing, they're giving it to MPP contractors. And I said, and so? Don't they have the capacity to do the job? Oh, yes, they have, but they enjoyed when their party was there. It's time for NDC contractors too. And I said, look, they have the capacity, they have the equipment, they employ Ghanaians, they don't employ Togolese or people from some other country. And so why not? Anybody who has the capacity to be able to move the project should be given it. Because for me, it's not about who does the project. For me, the credit is that at the end of my term of office, I was able to repair all those roads, no matter who did it. And so, political victimization is real. But I also encourage companies to become independent. We must not all rely on government supplies. And so there are people whose businesses are built on government patronage. And so if government changes, then easily it says, oh, okay, won't do this for you. We've canceled this contract, we've done this. There are a lot of companies, government really has to even encourage them and reward them for what they are doing. And so we must create an environment where the regulation is fair, everybody has the same opportunity, and everybody is able to get a good return on their investment. Because if our private sector gets a good return on its investment, then it's going to reinvest that money to expand their businesses, or even to put it in real estate. And that all that goes to improve the gross domestic product of Ghana. And so we should look at that. One of the major areas that I must talk about is the power sector. The power sector has been a drag on Ghana's economy for a long time. And so when we came into office, we made our minds that we will fix the issues in the power sector. And I'm pleased to report to you that we have cleared up a lot of the debt in the power sector. When we came into office, we had a debt overhang of about $1.7 billion, not cedis, dollars, owed to the independent power producers. We sat down with them, we agreed on a roadmap. Since Ghanaians
Go, fast. Faster.